So growing up, I used to be a pretty big sugar fiend. I remember many times throughout the day just having this like constant urge to eat a ton of this super sweet stimulating stuff, whether it was candy, fruit, your average junk food like freaking Pop Tarts or something, some like ice cream. It was pretty constant. I remember it was like morning, noon, and night. I would almost always have to have some sort of stimulation, some sort of hit of sugar or something stimulating my mouth. Otherwise, I would have this like irritability. Like those drug addicts. Like imagine like a normal normal drug addict, right? Your average drug addict who hasn't had a fix in a while. That's how I was with not getting like sugar. Basically, is like I would get this like weird irritability. Like you can imagine the dude who hasn't had his drugs in a while or whatever, just like he's starting to tweak out, dude. That's kind of how I started to act. Not in the same sort of like terrible withdrawal manner, but it's definitely noticeable now comparing my experience of life now to back then because uh, through this past year I've been able to kick and completely beat my sugar addiction, and it's just a night and day difference on the experience that I have day to day. And that's why I'm really making this video, is because I think quitting sugar and beating this sugar addiction really improved the quality of my life. And so that's why I'm making this video, is because if I can share that experience and maybe you follow the same sort of steps and do it yourself, then that's a great thing for the world, dude. Because I understand it just sucks to be addicted to sugar and have this like constant, like craving and compulsion to have, food that isn't necessarily good for you. So yeah, that's why I'm making this video. If you don't know me, my name is Keegan, and I talk about like diet and fitness a lot. So if that sounds interesting to you, then you should go subscribe. I'm also making like a how to quit junk food course at some point, so you should go check out the link in the description for that if you find value in this and you want assistance on this journey. So yeah, anyways, how I beat my sugar addiction. Freaking yoked, bro. um, the first thing is kind of a mindset shift on how I kind of viewed sugar. So whenever I first started on this journey, I started learning more and more about how, like junk food isn't healthy. Like I learned the basic thing. Junk food is junk food. It's not healthy for you. But I started, looking into it more and just thinking like, okay, this stuff has a ton of added sugar in it, like the junk food most of the time. And that's just like it's called junk food for a reason. It doesn't make you like supremely healthy or anything like that, right? And I just started viewing, I kind of started correlating sugar just in general as something that was bad. Now, like people have their different opinions on, oh, but you can have fruit and stuff. Oh, like okay, whatever. But I'm just saying that like the vast majority of foods that have sugar in them are pretty bad for you. And so that's the correlation that I drew. And I just started like, okay, if it's in a majority of these foods that make people obese and unhealthy, then maybe I shouldn't eat it. And I started viewing it as this kind of like tool of evil corporations to make us sick and unhealthy. Like that's just kind of the mindset shift that helped me kind of just get rid of it more in my life, because it's like, okay, well, I don't want freaking corporations making me freaking sad, sick, and unhealthy. So it's just like, screw them. I'm going to eat not sugar. So that's a mindset shift that you could maybe apply in your life. But I just kind of view it more as like this evil, not good thing. It's honestly like a drug if you think about it. Like people, I mean, you get addicted to sugar. It's possible. It's maybe not as bad as like, I don't know, like crack or something. That's probably not as bad as that as that. But it's still addictive. It's still like, from what I've learned, it still lights up your dopamine centers just like other drugs do. So you get kind of that addiction to it. And over time, that's not good. So I would just, that's the mindset that I took. And I think it's helped me, kind of stay away from the sugar more. It's given me more reasons to not eat it than to eat it, if that makes sense. But along those same lines of like reasons to not eat it, is just I eat other things that are stimulating, but they don't have the same downsides. So if yeah, so you probably understand the consequences of eating, a crap ton of like sugar and like these like super, like will spike your blood sugar sort of things. Eating a ton of those is not good for many reasons, but one that I can think of the top of my head that I experienced was this like weird energy, just up and down, just ups and crashes, and just being really affected by that mentally, physically, just not being able to time things correctly. So like I remember a lot of times I would go and I would eat breakfast. I would eat this like sugary pancake thing. I would like, dude, I would literally put the pancake mix in, some milk. I'd I'd mix it up, throw in some chocolate chips. I would microwave it, right? So it cooks up in the in the microwave. So it's like this mug pancake thing. And I'd take it out and I'd either put maple syrup on it or I'd throw some freaking like brown sugar on it and like mix it in. So it'd be like crumbly and like brown like sugar, just like this like bowl of sugar. It was like looking back, like dude, that was terrible for me. But I would eat that basically like every morning, and then I would try and run before school. But I would always have this like weird drain of energy as I was like getting up, starting to go do that. It was so weird because like in the car, I would feel like super hyped, like yeah, let's go, let's go, let's go. But then as soon as I get to the workout, it's just like oh, like I just couldn't move. It's just slow moving. Or it would hit after the run, and I'd be like tired during the run, and then afterwards I'd be like, yeah, let's go, be hyped. I just never timed the energy spikes and dips correctly, and it was always so unstable. So that's one of the big downsides of sugar that I really experienced. And now with the food that I eat, that doesn't happen anymore. I get just kind of like slow like waves of up and down energy, and it's chill. Like like it's at a higher baseline than normal, like a higher average. And yeah, I still get tired. Like if I get a bad night of sleep, of course I'm gonna get tired. But the baseline of energy and like mental clarity and all of those things is just so much higher and so much more consistent than it was whenever I was having all the ups and downs. So I eat, and it like the food that I eat is still tasty. Like I eat like meat and eggs and stuff like that. I don't eat steaks and whatnot super often, but I'll still eat like a very like eggs to me taste really really good. Like you can add a little salt on them. You can do so many different things with them, and they just taste great. Like and like hamburgers to me, like they just taste great. Like just the burger patties, so good. and and I don't have the same downsides of like up and down energy all the time, and so it makes me feel good. And that's another reason why is on how I beat my sugar addiction is just the other food that I eat now. It doesn't have the same kind of addictive effects, but it's also it's nutritious. It gives me a ton of energy, and it makes me not want to go back to eating sugar because it's like I live a pretty good life without it. So there's really no reason for it to be in my life because the food that I eat is still really stimulating. It's still awesome. It's just not the same kind of like, I guess the same flavor, I guess. It's more umami and like savory stuff than it is, like super sweet and that sort of thing. Yeah. But moving on, like the next thing is I kind of had this identity shift whenever I was transitioning, when I was going through like the cravings and like cutting out sugar and stuff. I kind of went through a mindset shift, an identity shift, to just thinking like, okay, this isn't who I am anymore. I don't eat sugar. I don't eat cookies. I don't eat cake. I don't eat candy. Like I'm not like, I don't eat like a child, bro. Like no offense, but like if you're still eating like candy and stuff, bro, what are you doing? I don't know. It just seems kind of like immature and not. It's just not the person who I wanted to be. So it with that identity shift, it just kind of came more became natural for me to avoid those foods just on a natural basis because it's like I just see myself as the person who eats a certain way. I do this, I do that, and I don't eat, junk food. I don't eat sugary nonsense. Like I eat real whole food and I just stay away from the sugary whole food. That's basically what I do. So, yeah, like it just made it like that identity shift whenever something is put in front of you because sometimes it will like these past holidays my uh my mom will always make these like cinnamon rolls and they're so good like they're sugary, they're tasty, cinnamony, whatever, right? And almost every year I've had them except this year because I decided like, dude, that's not who I am anymore. I don't eat this stuff. Like, yeah, it's cool, it's there. Like, okay, you can have it. I don't eat it. And it's just as simple like that. Like, oh, it's not, you know, it's not that weak mindset of like, oh no, I shouldn't. Oh no. Because at that point you're gonna get like peer pressured into it and you're gonna trick yourself into having some. Because oh I shouldn't, but maybe just a bite won't hurt. I don't do that. I think to myself, I don't eat that. You can have it. I don't need it. It's a I think it's a completely different, it's a different phrase whenever you say I don't eat that from I shouldn't eat that. That's two different phrases and I think that wording is very important to kind of lodge in your brain to think I don't versus I shouldn't. Cuz if you think about it like the I shouldn't, it's kind of like the oh I shouldn't, it's taboo, it's oh no. But you're you're more susceptible to people being like oh come on, you enjoy life, like you only live once, it's gonna be okay, like it's fine, it's fine. But if you think I don't, that just stops the conversation right there. I don't. I think it stops the conversation in your mind too from like oh but maybe this one time, like no, it's like I don't do that. So I think that's an important identity shift or mindset shift that you can make in your life if you want to, beat sugar. If you want to remove, I mean, if you want to remove anything from your life, just start having that identity. Like I don't eat that. Not I don't want to eat that, or like oh I shouldn't eat that because it's bad for me. Like I don't eat that, regardless of what it is, right? Like I don't eat that. Simple. I think it simplifies it and it makes it. It just gives you a stronger kind of barrier to stay away from it. So I don't know. That's just something that I personally use. You use it your own way. And the final thing that I want to talk about on how I beat my sugar addiction for good is I've made my life stimulating in other ways. So I said this earlier, but something that people will do, it's just how people are, is they'll say stuff like, oh, but you should live a little. Oh, but you should have this. Oh, but you should do this. Like, oh, but don't you have fun with your food? I saw this I saw this one comment the other day, bro, where it's like, don't exclude like certain flavors from your life or whatever. Like I don't know, I forgot what exactly it said, but it's like don't miss out on life because you want to adhere to this thing. Like shut the fuck up, bro. Like what are you talking about? Like go and live a little. Yeah, that's great. Whenever I should get myself, a sugar addiction and eat a ton of crap that I shouldn't. Like, are you stupid, bro? Like, like that excuse, in my opinion, that excuse, that that coping mechanism, that phrase, oh, you should live a little. Oh, it's okay. You only live once. I think it's the most stupid thing in terms of kind of like at least in diet, it's one of the stupidest things you could say. Oh, but you should live a little. Like, okay, fine. Should you live a little by poisoning yourself? I don't know. Like, yeah, maybe it's thrilling, but it's kind of a stupid thing to do, don't you think? So, listen. Anyway, sorry. I'm heated, bro. I'm heated from that. But the the counter argument that I have to that statement, beyond like what I was just saying, and kind of the rest of this video, I said it like I view it more as a drug and a tool used by mega corporations to make us fat and sick. So it's just like, do you really want to live a little by the corporation standard? I don't. You live your life, bro. Anyways, the argument that I have against that is just make your life stimulating in other ways. Like, I get it. Like, whenever you're transitioning out of eating like super stimulating food, because that's what it's designed to do, is to stimulate you so you can eat more, right? Junk food, or even just like just sugar in general, sugary foods in general, generally make you eat more than you should, right? They're stimulating. And I think the argument that, oh, you should live a little is have that stimulation. It's not going to kill you to have a little stimulation in your life. I think it will over a long period of time if you have that little bit of stimulation over like consistently. I think it will make you have just a worse life in general because you're having this like instant gratification stuff. But my argument against that is just make your life stimulating in other ways. And that's what I did, is I made my life stimulating in other ways. I exercise, I read books, I meditate, I freaking go to bed on time. I don't stay up late, and like I try to avoid scrolling, but I do get stuck in that. But I try and just make my life more exciting and less freaking toxic and degenerate than it already is. Like, I try and just make my life more exciting and fun outside of like the food that I eat. You know, like I stay busy. I just avoid, yeah, like I just stimulate myself in other ways. Does that make sense? So like, I'm not saying that you should stimulate yourself by, you know, like scrolling on Instagram or something. That's something that I do sometimes, and honestly, like, it's not a good habit. But just think about how you can make your life stimulating in a beneficial way that doesn't detract from your life like sugar probably does. Like, if you made it this far in this video, you're probably like pretty on it to, you know, get rid of this like sugar addiction, or you just relate to this. But like, if you don't want this in your life anymore, then just think of ways that you can make your life, you know, stimulating still, so you can have like fun, but it's not something that's detrimental. Like, maybe it's like working towards a goal, it's reading a book, it's playing with your dogs, or, you know, like playing a sport, or, you know, talking to your friends, something like that, dude. Like, it doesn't have to be anything special. Like, it just has to make your life stimulating in something that's somewhat beneficial. So I hope you get my point with that. Is like, I've just made my life stimulating in other ways. Like, I just exercise a lot, basically. I just exercise a lot. Along with all the other things. It's just made, you know, quitting the sugar addiction super easy. A little bit on that, though, is just, it will be hard. It will be difficult. I remember the first 2 weeks of my experience of cutting out, like, I basically cut out like all carbohydrates and all sugar and stuff like that. And it was difficult because my body was so used to eating sugar all the time. It was like, hey, what are you doing? I was having those like, it's like drug-like withdrawals. And I remember I'd see something like that was sugary or sweet, and my body would be like, have it now. Like, I felt like a crack fiend almost for sugar at that point. And that's what made me realize that I just don't want to stick with this anymore. And so I think that's another thing that you could try, is just like try and go cold turkey and see how it affects you. I think that'd be really interesting for you to try out. Go completely cold turkey on the sugar. Eat just like meat and eggs and maybe some vegetables if you're into that thing. Just eat like super duper clean and notice your cravings. And I hope that motivates you to realize like, holy crap, this doesn't seem natural. And I personally don't believe that it is to have that kind of craving like like a goblin, dude. I want this shit. Yeah, I try it out. See how you feel. But yeah, that's how I beat my sugar addiction for good. Is I just see it as evil, drug, not good for me. Kind of like, you know, name your drug, name a drug. Like I kind of see it like that, and so it's kind of like I don't really want to do it. You know like the dare, say no, say no to drugs, no, that kind of thing. And yeah, I eat real tasty food that you know heal not heals my body, that makes me feel good, energized. It tastes great. So I'm not really lacking anything in the terms of the food that I eat. I just don't eat like the super duper stimulating the foods. I don't eat super duper stimulating foods. And I did an identity shift of just I don't do that anymore. I don't binge on junk food. I don't eat junk food. I don't eat sugar. And I just made my life stimulating in other ways. Reading, exercising a lot, drinking water, talking with friends, that sort of thing. And just experimenting with my diet also. But yeah, that's how I beat my sugar addiction forever. So I hope this video has helped you out. If you like what I'm saying, then you should go subscribe and do all the YouTube stuff. And also check out the links in the description. I think I'll be making a course soon on how to quit junk food and stuff. So if that sounds interesting to you and you want help on this journey, then I've made that course for you. So go check it out. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.